Hello, money queens and listeners. Welcome to Women Behind the Millions. Let's meet the women behind the millionaires, the women supporting, guiding, celebrating women with their wealth. You will hear from women millionaires, how they got there, what they wish they had known, what got them to be a millionaire, the emotional side, the spiritual side, the practical side of wealth. You'll also get to meet the women behind the scenes helping make it happen. Let's dive into Women Behind the Millions. I am Jessica Weaver, your host, best-selling author of 3 books, wealth advisor, and founder of the Women's Wealth Boutique. Let's start meeting the women. Hello, money queens and listeners. Welcome to Women Behind the Millions. We have my dear, dear friend. She's a sister to me, Lisa Chastain, on with us today. I've known her for 6 years now. We started building our brand about the same time, side by side. We've been huge supporters of one another. Lisa is the creator of Real Money Radio Show and podcast. She is an international best-selling author of Girl, Get Your Shit Together. Hold on. For those of you who are watching, look what I got. The beautiful Lisa right here. This is an incredible book. She also is the leader and founder of her own firm. She was an advisor, switched gears. She has been a money coach for several years now. You'll see her in Oprah, Forbes, Entrepreneur. She is all over the press and media because of what she's been doing. She is a trailblazer. She's a pioneer in this space. So thank you so much, Lisa, for being on the show with us today.
I'm so excited and grateful to be here, Jess. I just love spending time with you.
Oh, same. We met about 6 years ago, pre-babies for me. So I feel like you've been a part of this huge journey of myself. We were accountability buddies together for several months. And I always know you have my back and our ladies' back. So thank you for being such a huge supporter of us.
Yeah, we always say this, right, Jess? We can't do it alone. We shouldn't do it alone.
No, and that's exactly what we want to talk about today. How you, especially you, Lisa, are changing the financial landscape for the next generation of women as they come into wealth, are building their wealth, want to welcome wealth into their lives. Because you do focus a lot with millennial women. How did you fall into that niche? It's such a cool space to be in.
Yeah. Well, so I'm the baby in my family, and I've spent a lot of time thinking about this because it's only 7-8 years later that I get how this all happened. But being the baby, I always wanted to be a big sister. And I take that role on a lot with the women that are in my life. When I started my company, you know, my story, I was a financial advisor, and I really wasn't very successful. I was really struggling, which is where I found our mentor, Robin, at that time. And I left the industry intentionally because I wanted to work with women, millennial women in their 20s and 30s. And I had the limiting belief that I wasn't going to be able to make any money doing that as an advisor.
That is what our industry tells you. If you work with new people just starting out of college, there's all sorts of minimums. You're not going to make money. And this is where a lot of people focus. We don't care. We want to help who we want to help.
That's right. I want to help who I want to help. And don't tell me I can't do something. I don't like it. I don't like it when my husband tells me not to do something. Right?
It's going to feel your fire to keep going.
That's it. So I left my financial advising firm. And at that time, which is really interesting. So rewind to 2016, we're in 2023 now. In 2016, I had never heard the term money coach.
Sure.
I didn't even know, being in the money industry, that there was such a thing as a money coach.
Yes. No, very true. You're right. I didn't hear that term either.
So when I heard that was actually a thing, I was like, oh, I'm in. And as soon as I jumped and leapt out and started telling people that I was going to do money coaching, the women that were coming forward asking for coaching were women who were about 10 years younger than me, 20s and 30s at the time, asking for guidance and wanting to know what to do with their money and talk about their money struggles and talk about how to build wealth. So that's how it all started. That's who was coming to me anyway for support and wanting to be that bigger sister and guidance. I was like, yeah, let's do this.
I feel it's a breadcrumb trail that God leaves when you start to pick on who's coming to you easily and quickly. And I was like, oh, breadcrumb. All right, I'm on the right path. I'm on the right way. God's giving me clues. Because when we're in the right place, and you talk about authenticity a lot, when you are in the right place, living your purpose, it shouldn't be more work. It shouldn't be more effort. It should almost feel effortless because you're just having so much fun doing it.
Agreed.
And enjoying the people you're surrounding yourself with. That's a big risk, though, to switch gears. Going from an advisor to a money coach, did it take some time to make that decision, to process it?
I was so frustrated with where I was at. I wasn't making a whole lot of money anyway. Okay. So really at that time, and what I had gone through in those few years of us getting to know each other, like going through divorce, I really had nothing to lose. So at that time I was like, why not? Because I'm essentially failing right now anyway.
Why not? I'm miserable. This isn't working.
Yeah.
Why not pivot? And you're amazing at pivoting and to keep switching gears to see what is going to work.
Right. That's right.
Incredible. We talk about the box a lot here, and I feel the financial industry does try to confine us into this box of how they want us to operate. We said, who they want us to work with. And for you, it was just completely tossing out that box, ripping it through, and there's this whole new world for you to be able to play in.
Yeah.
And to see. I can definitely tell that mothering, nurturing side of you, that big sister. When she said that, it clicked to me and why you created this community. Can you talk about the community that you've built for these women, these millennial women?
Yeah. So having been through my own money struggles and also not being raised around a lot of money. My dad's a blue collar guy. He was a stagehand. We always had our needs met, but never more than that growing up. So there weren't any conversations about money or how to build wealth or investing. And I know my dad did dabble in mutual funds and different things, but I caught that like on the outside looking in versus anybody in my family really having actual conversation with me about money. And my financial failures in my 20s and 30s were very isolating because there was no one for me to go to in my family who could role model or mentor or support me. And there weren't any women in my life that were talking about money.
It's very hard. I remember that too, finding those mentors who are women that you can talk to. I remember starting out in the industry and I would call successful female advisors for help and they would have the time of day for me. I guess they thought I was a potential threat. I'm like, you're just alienating more yourself and more women. So I can relate to that a lot. So you didn't have anybody that you could talk to about it. And money already can make you can feel judged, shameful, embarrassed, like a failure, right? As you said.
And I became a financial advisor because I wanted to make a lot of money. It was like a match. I was like, I love mentoring and coaching people and I want to make a lot of effing money. So I could see the potential in the industry and in the career. I just couldn't figure out and find the people who were going to help me figure it out. And that was that. And I think that's, just why I believe that your firm is taking off and your brand is taking off is that you're saying, hey, come work with me. I'm going to help you thrive. We're all going to thrive together. And I see that with money coaching too. It's like, there's no reason that we can't all jump in, dive in and grow and become millionaires.
Yes. There's so much money out there for all of us. There's so much money out there. So you took a stance and pioneered and built a community to fully support it. And I love the idea of the community because we go to school. It's a social setting the entire time. We're learning from the teacher, from our peers. Maybe there's an aide that takes you out of the classroom or gives you extra support here and there. I don't see why we can't have the same thing when it comes to our money. Yeah. If we learn so well in a social environment, why not just apply that?
Yeah. And I got off topic. So let me land the plane there because you asked me about my community and then I went off on this tangent. What I love so much about my community is that we're an open, honest, place to be where you're at financially. And so one of the first things that we teach our clients to do, because this isn't, you would think, you and me having been in the money industry, right? That this would be common sense, but I never tracked my net worth until I got into the money industry. I didn't know what my net worth was. So one of the first exercises we do in my world is I teach women how to track their net worth. And that's really scary because there's so much judgment and shame around what we have or what we don't have. And so in my community, I'm like, listen, we're going to talk about money, and we're going to talk about money a lot because everybody learns in different ways. And if you're not having active conversation about it, how are you actually learning how to apply it in your own life and make sense of it in your world and renegotiate relationships and be honest with yourself about what you really do want in your life?
Yeah.
And women, like you said, we were born to be together. Our DNA as women, we're born to have community. And now as we become trailblazers in the world, in business, in finance, we have to work together to get there.
Yes. You brought up having conversations around money and elevating those conversations around money. And I think that is key to this. As you said, growing up, there wasn't a conversation about money because there wasn't any extra money to talk about. You wake up, you earn your money, and then you pay your bills, and there's nothing any extra. Then why bring it up? You're just living to work and pay your bills. So then how do you figure out how to have extra? And then what do you do with that extra money? And I hear from so many women, I have a dumb question, or I just don't know who to talk to about these things.
Right.
And even if you are married or in a relationship, your spouse might not know any better, or they're just trying to figure it out themselves as well. So it's huge being able to have that community. How often do you meet? And I know I've been a guest speaker. You have different people coming in, different experts to come present. What is the community setup like?
So we have frequent calls because I want to be top of mind for every woman that's in our community. Because with money in particular, we can live our life for a certain amount of time and not think about our money. Typically paycheck to paycheck, right? You get paid. Yeah. And then you can live for another week or so, and then you're in another conversation about money. So we actually have weekly touch points.
Oh,
we're transitioning into a new conversation. We're going to call it the Savvy Money University. So it's been a savvy, and with the university, we have
a very sassy name.
Yeah, where it's like it's cool to come learn about money, and that we have faculty like you, Jess, that come in and teach. Because you've got to have the ability to know your money. So we teach how to look at your money, how to track your money, because that's a skill that's not necessarily taught. And then from there, we're like, let's level up. Let's keep learning about money, master your own money. And then let's bring in different experts throughout the course of the month that you can learn from, mindset and actual financial expertise, like financial advisors, cryptocurrency, all the things about money. So we provide a platform where a woman can plug in and literally weekly be connected to us.
That structure is huge. And I think some people think structure is a little restrictive, but to me, structure gives you more freedom, right? The more structured you are, disciplined, the more freedom you're going to have, and the less guilt, shame you're going to feel, that second guessing yourself. Yeah, I love that somebody can grow and mature through the program. And that there's always the next stage, because let me tell you, myself, the mindset is a daily practice. And I need mindset, a daily practice that I need to constantly be on check with. And not only myself, but our entire team, because I know if somebody on my team isn't doing well, they have a scarcity piece in their mindset, it's going to take us all down or pause our growth. It is a daily thing. So it's not a one and done.
No, it's not. And I have another expert in my world. Her name's Dana. She's also a financial advisor. And she had done an audit of all of her ultra high net worth clients. And she had interviewed all of them and asked, what did they do? They were all self-made. So they didn't inherit their wealth. Self-made ultra high net worth individuals. And the one thing they all had in common is that they spend anywhere from 20 to 30 hours a month on their money.
That's impressive. What a fascinating study. She probably learned so much. I heard she's reading a book about it, because that would be a very powerful book to read.
It would, right? It's like, what did you do to create the wealth that you have? And so in my world, even though you may not have the knowledge yet, because women, we want to We want to feel educated. We want to feel like we know. You can spend your whole life getting educated and still not take action.
Yes.
So with having those weekly touch points and having conferences and having continued conversation and having a WhatsApp chat, I'm getting them closer to that 20 to 30, because it's like, well, what would I focus on for 20 to 30 hours a month? Well, let me baby step you into that.
Yes.
And let's just make it a part of your regular routine. And then all of a sudden it's 5 hours or 10 hours and you know where to focus and how to focus, so that when you do have money in a portfolio or when you do have savings going in certain ways, you know what you're tracking toward. So it's just, that's why I'm like, just come spend time with us. Let's just start there.
It's very sustainable as you're building it in. It's creating a whole new habit.
That's right.
It's creating a whole new habit. It's like learning a new muscle or a new skill, and that you're piecing it in step by step is huge. I love that approach. It's like when we start saving money, we have to chunk money aside into savings all at once. Like, let's just start getting comfortable and familiar with saving money, and let's build it from there. You're right. So that's a lot of hours to spend on your money, but money is a business. We should treat it like a business. It runs our entire life. It's what's going to support our entire retirement. That's incredible. I'm trying to think of how much time I spend on mine. That's a good check-in point for everybody who's listening. I'm curious, Lisa, for you, what's been the biggest mindset shift for you as you step into this role as a leader in the industry, an expert, building out your community, your platform?
You know, the people part is really easy for me. So I'm just people-centered, and getting people together and having great conversations is something that I'm naturally trending toward. Not having been raised around money, having shame conversations for myself about money. Even to this day, my mom has, gratefully she's still alive, and hearing her say certain things about wealthy people, understanding that that was my programming growing up. Like, you don't need money to be happy.
Yes.
You know, I have to, every point along the way, confront my own limiting beliefs about money. And a lot of them are unconscious. And it's not until they're staring me in the face, I realize, like, dang it, there's another one. So to go from 6 figures to multiple 6 figures to now working toward building $1 million business, I have to constantly confront the things that are getting in my own way to be able to get to the next level. And I have to continue to learn about money, because every new level, there's a new learning. And so that's, for me as a business owner and growing my own personal wealth, I'm constantly tracking my net worth. I'm having conversations with my financial advisors. I want to make sure I'm saving in the right places, but I also want to make sure I'm investing in my business. Like, it's a lot to think about.
Yes. Yeah. It's very overwhelming if you don't have somebody, an expert, a professional, to talk to about it. Especially as a business owner, I feel you make so many decisions in a day.
Oh my gosh.
And the decisions affect not just you, but your community, the people you're serving, your employees, your consultants, people you're paying as well. That's something by then. Somebody just please tell me where to put my money. I'm sick of deciding for myself. Having the professionals is a huge support. And I tend to be a trial and error learner. I really like to learn hands-on for it. You don't want to always do that with your money. I have to fail a few times to then learn the right way. So having somebody that can just take that off my plate is huge.
Yeah, agreed. I like, I'm embedded into the trial and error of business. Mm-hmm. So when I am saving money or investing money, I would like for someone else to have that. It's a team approach. Have that eye on it for me, right?
Yes, that is a good point. And you're right. Sometimes as business owners, there's so many expenses, but are they expenses or they invest? And even that mindset switch is huge for you. What have been some of the hurdles you've had to overcome as a business owner?
Oh my gosh. Yeah. So the first 2 years, the hurdles were that nobody knew who I was. And nobody really knew what money coaching was.
So educating it and finding your audience and educating them. Mm-hmm. I'm sure everyone can resonate with that.
And I know you're a big proponent of, I read one of your most recent blogs of making sure, or it was maybe an article in a magazine, but it was about having seed money. Mm-hmm. Right? Yeah. I didn't have seed money as a business owner.
Yeah.
So I was like, I have to make money. How can I do that really fast? And so credit cards were my seed money.
Yes, that happens so much for women. Same.
So learning how to not do that, but also this next hurdle. And then, of course, COVID. I was an events-based business, and then COVID shut that all down. So I had to pivot really fast. And then I had to rebuild. So we shut all my group programming down. I went to just private coaching. So different from the finance industry as a financial advisor, we don't have that reoccurring revenue, right? We're not managing a portfolio.
Mm-hmm.
That's been a big hurdle, is how do I create a steady stream of income? And I'm constantly wanting to bring on new clients. So that's where I'm at now, is how do I scale that quote unquote reoccurring revenue in the finance industry, and having the right programs, charging the right, like those are all the things that I'm in the conversations about now. But then still having a healthy relationship with taking on business debt.
Mm-hmm. You bring up a good point, because we recently just secured financing, and somebody sent me a post and had such a good point. Poor people call loans as debt. Mm-hmm. Wealthy people call it as leverage. It's like, oh, that is so true. Just how you're saying it to yourself, putting it on the spreadsheet, specifying it, can completely change your mindset around it. But our industry just says that's bad. That's a lot. Just say that's bad. Avoid it at all costs. But is that really the best option for everyone?
Yes. I have studied a lot of businesses. So I've had the privilege of being in business coaching environments and teaching entrepreneurship. And when you look at how companies get started in America, many of the major companies that we know of today took out government loans, substantial government loans. Tesla is a good example. And so for women talking about hurdles and trailblazing, we have to be in a new conversation about leverage and about risk.
Yes. Yes. And the wealthiest people, they won't even invest in their own company. Like, why am I going to put my own money in? I'm going to spend on other people's money first.
OPM.
But how many women would feel guilty doing that? Right? Like, I get my own skin in the game. I have to support it first. And then we feel bad that we're spending the household money. Right. I'm sure we could have a whole episode just on this topic.
Yeah, but talking about trailblazing and hurdles, I'm on this podcast. I have my own podcast, Real Money, to have this conversation openly and honestly, so that we can teach younger women that it's okay. And yes, you are going to make mistakes. And here's mistakes that I've made. And you're not going to die. You're going to, literally, right? Like, it feels like it's life or death. And that doesn't always have to be the case.
No, it doesn't. Yeah, having a healthy conversation about that. And there's blocks there. There's mindset blocks that we need to shift and pivot as well, especially if you're going to grow. And I was talking to the gentleman whose office is right next to mine, and he was part of a business it was sold for $250 million. So he's kind of become one of my mentors. And I was talking about our financing loan, and it was, a few $100,000. He's like, I know at this stage, that seems like a lot of money. And I'm like, that seems like an enormous amount of money. He's like, it's not. And even getting over the mindset that 100,000 isn't a lot of money, 500,000 isn't a lot of money, because there's so much money out there. I feel it. There's mindset blocks all over us.
Totally. And it's scarcity. Taking it out of the money context for me growing up, not poor, but definitely not wealthy, middle class, like hardcore middle class. Today, even when I go buy my face lotion, yes, I want to hoard it because of when I run out, I'm not going to have money to buy more face lotion.
You're portioning it out.
Right. So it's from that being raised, I don't know if I'm going to have the money, to now saying I'm going to make sure that I do, and I'm going to take the right steps. I'm going to work and have the right conversations so that I know that I can repay my loan, and I'm making the right investments to grow. Mm-hmm. And it's a totally different mindset. And for women, we have to continue to challenge that and be in community to your point, Jess, where we can have those open, honest conversations.
Yes. You bring up so many good points. How have you been able to take action? Because you mentioned making the right investments with the money, the seed money, the investments, the leverage. How have you been able to identify the right investments or the right next steps for you? Because you said you've had to pivot a lot. That takes a lot of stress, risk, maneuvering those. How have you been able to kind of trust your intuition and gut?
One thing is that what I've learned now, so where I'm taking my lessons from 2022 to 2023. And in 2022, I did throw some spaghetti at the wall. I did, I hired people or brought people onto the team. Marketing is a huge expense for my company. And there were certain investments that we made that didn't pan out. I had an event over the summer and we paid a lot of money, like $17,000 for Facebook ads, and we didn't get a great turnout for the event. So I had to be willing to stomach that experience and that process, because the reason I started my own business was because I wanted to do it on my own and learn and have that experience as an owner. Sure. It doesn't come without some of those moments where I'm like, well,
that's part of the trailblazing role.
Okay, that didn't work.
Yeah.
What's next? So end of quarter 3, quarter 4 of last year, I really started mapping out and being really strategic, knowing what I know from 2021, 2022.
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to be a bit more streamlined here. I'm not going to spend so much here. Instagram's one of those things, just to be transparent. Like I've poured a ton of money into Instagram and I've got a very little return, because you go to Instagram, you're like, oh, look at all these influencers. It doesn't work like that.
Now, behind the scenes Instagram, yes, it's a hot mess.
It was very expensive. And I was like, I gotta switch gears. And I have to risk that I just poured a ton of money into this avenue and I have to switch gears. And I gotta be okay with that, you know?
Yes. And you're able to then teach other women and help them. So in a way, you are going to make the money back, because that's part of your value. Where should you be focusing? Learning the mapping, showing other people how to map it.
Yeah.
It's going to be a huge pillar to then show the next generation. So as trailblazers, yeah, we are going to make some costly mistakes here and there. And we learn from them, and then we can save other women from having to make the same mistakes.
Agreed. Where I feel most vulnerable is that we are experts. We are quote unquote money experts. So to risk financial failure as a money expert is very vulnerable, because we're not, right? We're supposed to be the experts. We're not supposed to fail. But in business, you have to, like you said, trial and error. Most businesses don't succeed.
Yeah.
Statistically, right?
We don't.
There's a whole lot to learn. And there's a whole lot to know. And as a trailblazer, I want to keep paving the way for women to hear that you're going to screw up, you're going to make mistakes, and you can keep going and you can be stronger because of it.
Yes. And the world is changing so quickly, so fast, that the businesses that are failing are the ones that aren't pivoting quick enough and adjusting. And I do think that's a huge trait for women. We are very adaptable. We can be at home in poopy diapers and then be on a conference call the next minute and be able to switch gears like that.
You're right.
It's a huge skill trait to be able to take into business and be able to switch. Because like you said, you were an event-based business. COVID hit, completely dismantled that. You had to switch gears again and again. So it's going to happen. Facebook ads was huge for so many businesses. That business changed, and businesses have to adapt as well. So sometimes the mistakes aren't even in our hands. It's just our external environment's changing.
That's right. That's right. There's no replacement for trust. So one big lesson that I've learned is that I'm not going to go after the next gimmick. I'm not going to go after the next sales, like sales thing.
Advice. Yes.
I'm going to be solid in who I am and care for the people that I work with. And I'm going to show up and do my best and surround myself with other money experts. So and you can't replace that authenticity and that ability to just care for people. So I've shied away from my business. Maybe for like that short-term sale, I haven't been able to close, but for the long term of my business and for the trustworthiness of my brand, I'm just going to take the high road and do what's right for people. And that's not always easy either.
Yes. I was going to say, when I see your business, what I think of is consistency. You are consistently showing up on social media, the camera, you speaking, it just eases me and relaxes me immediately when I hear you speak. It also inspires me. Your authenticity, you're always vulnerable and always sharing. You're consistently vulnerable. And as you were just saying as well, what was the last point to make?
For the short-sighted stuff.
Yes, the long game. And I always heard God chirping in my ear, you're playing a longer game. You're playing a longer game. And I think as women, we're very relationship focused. And that is the long game, because more and more people, they become your raving fans. They become your tribe, part of your community. And you can't replace that with money, because there's so much more power behind the connections and the networking there as well. So I agree with you. I feel all our marketing efforts have always been the longer game. And at some point it's going to pay off. It will just pay off.
It will. And I think that's a lesson for all women. Here's my true belief. And I don't know how, I'm sure the statistic has shifted, but I'm sure it hasn't shifted by much. And this was in 2017. It came from Women's Entrepreneurship Day, which they're on a mission to basically solve poverty for women through entrepreneurship.
Okay.
And the statistic is that 90% of the world's wealth is earned by men.
That is a gut punch, isn't it?
90%.
That's a reality check. Wow.
So even if that's changed to 85% by now, 5 years later, 6 years later.
Yeah.
Women, there is so much more out there for us. And I do believe that I know this in my heart, that when we play the right game together, the world will benefit.
Yes. Because even if you see that shifting by 10, 20% year by year, the conversations are going to be changing. You know, the people in office are going to be different. The people running the show are going to be different. And I know women, there was one study that said women get back 4 times more. Right? So just think of our communities, how different they would be. If we stepped up and demanded our worth, asked for our worth, and then started being savvy with our money on the back end, how much we can change. It's right going on around us. 90% of the wealth. Wow. I recently read women are a third of the millionaires. A third of the millionaires. There's a lot of room for us to grow. There's a huge potential there. So thank you, Lisa, for being a trailblazer and pioneering the next generation of women and being a woman behind the millions, supporting the millionaires, the next generation of millionaires. Where can everybody find you, Lisa?
The easiest way is just to go to my website, lisachastain.com. I've got a new book coming out, so keep an eye out for that this year. And Savvy Money with Lisa on Instagram.
Oh, that's amazing. And make sure you check out her show. It is amazing. I listen to it. It's weekly, right? It's live, and then you can catch the recording as well. Yeah. So check her out. She is a fantastic host. But thank you so much, Lisa, for being on here. Any last words for our listeners or viewers?
Yeah, I just know any woman that's learning from you and growing with you, Jess, is in the right place. So stick with Jess. She's going to lead the way for you. And I'm just grateful to be a part of your community, Jess.
Thank you so much, Lisa. Thank you to all of our listeners. We'll see you on the next Women Behind the Million.